Alright everybody, here we go. I hope everybody had a great day and looking forward to a good weekend or whatever you're going to do. Well, what do we got in front of us? Well, today we have a 2300 PSI Excel pressure washer. Well, the problem is that I got this given to me. Basically, the gentleman didn't know what to do. He had tried to overhaul the pump and the pump never worked right and was basically had problems. I'm going to show you the pump in a second, but what I'm going to tell you what we're going to do is we're not going back with the actual pump that this one came with. We're going to go with an upgrade. So by the time we get done, we will be at 2800 PSI versus the 2300 PSI. What I have is right here is a 6-horse Quantum Briggs & Stratton. One of the best engines Briggs & Stratton ever came out with. Very dependable. Used for generators, used for lawnmowers, used for pressure washers. So what we're going to do is go ahead and we are going to upgrade this. Now I know a lot of people go, you know, I got a pressure washer just like this and the pump on it's different. Well, I'm going to give tips and tricks and stuff about this. This ain't the first one I've done. I did this also on a HomeLight version. It was exactly almost the same model. It's just, like I said, it was a HomeLight. It was really strange. Well, anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to use the same engine, use the same frame, but what we're going to do is we're going to change the pump. And I'm going to show you the pump what was on there, and then what we're going to go to, and tell you a little bit about it. I've already removed the pump because the pump is a pain in the butt. But I'll show you exactly when I over there on the pump what to do, what to look forward, and let's get started, shall we? Okay, what you see is two pumps. This is the original one and this is the upgraded one. This is the original, and like I said, the gentleman had it, worked on it and everything, and had problems afterwards. The other thing is, I don't like these pumps anyways. I find they give out, and look, they break. I don't know exactly what happened, but from the looks of it, it looks like it was cracking over time from vibration, and then water got in there and caused a little bit of other issues inside. But what we're going to do is go from this heavy ass 2300 to this light one that is roughly around 2800 psi. Now when you got this bolted up, it's bolted in, it's going to have 4 bolts that are up here on the flange. You drop that out, but first thing is you want to drop out will be this long bolt that goes up in here. Basically what this is going to look like. So just bear with me a second. Okay, so this is what it would look like. Imagine 4 bolts going to the bottom of the engine, actually attaching to the engine itself. So what we do is we go ahead, drop this bolt out. Now, how I did this, I'll show over there on the engine. But basically, get this bolt out. Okay, this adapter will be stuck to the shaft of the engine. It's got a 1/8 Allen, so you go ahead and you get it out as far as you can, and you'll see the spline right down inside here, and that goes in the groove of the shaft of the lawnmower, or I mean, excuse me, the engine. And what you do is, once you do this, it's not going to come off real easy. So then all you do is take Mr. Bolt, put him back inside while this is still in the shaft, and you use the bolt to help push it down. So you don't need to get it like mechanical pullers or anything like that. And then after that, you're going to need some bolts. I use grade A bolts. 8 bolts, that is. Grade 8. EIGHT bolts. They're strong, they're tensile straight, it's very good, and they're pretty resilient. It's against the corrosion of the water. Okay, and this is the one I got off of actually eBay. Paid 70 bucks for it. And you'll see right here, there's a little shaft. And when we go into starting the assembly process of putting this back on, or putting this on, I'll talk about it and give you a little tips and tricks. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to upgrade from this POS to this. 1, it's lighter by a lot. 2, it produces 500 psi more on the pressure washer. The other thing is the connections are still right up here at the front. Your adjuster for your relief valve is right there. Your soap line is right here, versus like the soap line for this is right here off the side. I like it in here because then it pulls a little bit better. I'm not going to get into it too much, but this is it, and this is what we're going to go to. Okay, so hang with me. We're going to have some fun. So this is where we're going to start putting it all back together. I took it all apart before. The reason why is because it really doesn't matter. You'll see how it goes back together. But the one thing I was going to tell you is when to get that bottom bolt out, that shank bolt, I took a wrench, put it on in here, held it, and then just popped it loose. Some people, you can take a strap wrench, put it on here. Don't ever put anything on these. You break these, and one, it's going to throw the balance off. Two, it's not. This is what gets the air circulation for the engine. So enough about that. But what we're going to do is go ahead, we'll rotate it on our back a little bit. And you just got to be careful. And then you've got the exposure. Now you'll see how I've got the bolts already laid down in there. Now one bolt will have to go this way, but we'll get to that later. The biggest thing is you have to be careful with the engine due to the fact that the engine is not really held in anymore. It's going to flop. So what you got to do is figure out a good way to secure that engine. And that's where the ratchet straps come in. So what you do, go ahead, bring it back up, or bungee or whatever you got. Okay, you see I've got it hooked up with the safety strap on there. That's so that the engine is not got a chance of falling back. Normally what I like to do is go ahead, grab said new pump. I don't have the key in, but what I do is I use this so that I can set up and figure out exactly how big of a spacer I need. And after I get it up in there, I look in that oil drain that's sitting here, because that's where this one arm's going to cover. Well, I figured that I need at least 5 or 4 washers to give me the right depth that I need. So what I did is the hidden mechanic's friend. I take Mr. Glue Gun. Now I just dab a little here, a little there, flip it around, glue it to its little buddy. Take another one, glue a little here, a little there, go to Mr. Friend, start mating them together. Now, some people are going to say, well, you're going to have a gap. Yeah, but you don't get excessive. Okay, now, what you've got is your spacer. So then I take a little bit of Mr. Glue, and I put him up here just a little bit, just because I want him to hold it just for a little bit. So you just take him, put him up there, because if not, it's going to fall and slide off, especially at that angle. Unless you are straight across horizontal. But other than that, take that, grab it back in, put that right there. Okay. Now with that being like that, I've got the gap I want. Save these 4 for the other side. The other side, the bolt's going to have to come from the bottom to the top. So don't worry. Now what you do is you grab the keys. What I like to do is make sure that it's straight up and down at 12 o'clock and put it in there. Now, like I said, mechanic's friend. This right here, you take a little, just a little, because all you need it to do is hold that in there. Don't make it where it goes all over the place and it's nasty, because all you need is something to hold the key in place. Okay, So, and the other thing is you're only going to need one key. Okay, so you put him down there, set him right there, the base. And then what I do is I mark here so that I can see it. So if I have to turn it anywhere, I know exactly where I line up. So then I come around here, go ahead, line my bolts up, because I know this is where it's going to go. And then I set up here and look. And if I got to turn, I can just grab the top and meet with it a little bit. It gets a little apprehensive sometimes, especially on the low light. But there you go. Okay. Now you're in there. Your pump is up there. You check. You've got your gap that you want. It's not going to go anywhere. The biggest thing is at the top. You want to make sure that your key did not come out. You want to make sure that the key is still there. And then go ahead and commence to putting in your bolts and washers. Now I know I went a little too long on the bolts, but the thing was it was a just in case. That's why I got an excessive amount of washers also. After a time, if everything works out the way I want it, then what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and just replace and put the right size bolts in. But that's basically an easy way to go ahead, bolt it in. The other thing I like to do is leave the spark plug loose so that if I do need to turn the piston some, you know, turn the shaft or whatever I need to, it's not going to be forced. It's going to be real easy, left, right, back, forward. And from there, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to bolt it all up, put it all together, and I'll show you the final project. And then hopefully we'll give our test drive. I got some little stuff I still need to do to the engine, but this is what I was wanting to talk about. I like to take old things that are given to me by friends, family, what have you, and they're at their wits' end and not knowing what to do, whether or not it's salvageable. Well, the thing is, it's salvageable. I mean, you got a good engine, you got a good thing. All you had was a bad pump. The hoses were still good, everything was still good. To replace the pump would have been about 140 bucks if I was lucky and it was used. You can't really find it. And then also on top of that, those pumps, these pumps, even though you go ahead and you put it together, it's not really going to say whether or not it's going to work. Because there might be some grime, some dirt, whatever. And then it can get in there and the next thing you know, you're without a pump. So you took all that time and labor. You've got the same problem that you have, the same mess. And now you're hurting. You know, because you don't know what the heck you're going to do. Well, you can do an upgrade. And this is an upgrade, believe it or not. You've just changed a 2300 PSI to a 2800 PSI. These are readily a lot more easier to get a hold of versus that dinosaur weight down there. Another fishing lure. Or I mean another fishing boat anchor. And you can go ahead and replace these, and also depending on who you buy it from, sometimes they have repair kits. I'm going to go into, after all this is done, I'm going to tell you basically what you need to do for storage of these. And this is the biggest culprit behind this. What kills a pump 9 times out of 10 is the way you leave the condition. Let's say that you go ahead and you're running it. You're happy. Well water, city water. It doesn't matter. Off the back of a truck, potable water. What's going to happen is the city water, you're going to see that nice white chlorine in there. Well, guess what? That little chlorine loves the inside of seals and pumps. And next thing you know, if you don't use the conditioner on it, which I'll show you in a little bit, it will cause it to lock the valve open, the relief valve. So then the next thing you know, you got no pressure. And then you get pissed, you take that out, and you're like, well, this ain't working, you know, and then you're at wit's end. Well, the same thing with well water. Like, depending on where you are, down here in the Carolinas, a lot of your wells are right in the bed of clay. Well, if anybody's noticed, you get a nice red resin in your water. After a while, you'll see it in the showers and stuff like that. And that's where a problem comes in with now you've got dirt inside there. So one thing to do is to go ahead and put the conditioner in there. And what the conditioner does is it kind of coats everything so nothing can stick to it, so that the next time you go ahead, grab it, hook it up, boom, pull it. The motor's running, you know it's happy. But the inside of the house is okay. I have a Troy belt 3200. I've had it for 10 years. I condition it after every time I use it, and it's got a Honda motor on it, but the pump is almost virtually exactly the same, I think, as this one, and it has never given me a lick of trouble. And the biggest reason why, I think, is because I spray the conditioner in it. But when it comes to working on your stuff, like I said in all my videos, step out of your realm, your comfort zone. Don't be afraid. The worst you can do is, okay, you're going to be out of some money. But the thing is, you learned about it. You might be able to go back and go, if I did this different, maybe this will work better. This day and age, it's too easy to throw things away, except take time to go ahead and fix things. That's why I recommend, if you get a chance, somebody gives you something, find out what you can do with it. I mean, the same thing, I can turn around and take this off, put an adapter on it, and there's a base generator that you can make for the bottom of this. So either way, I got a pressure washer, or I can make it into a generator. Take the motor off, depending on some of the units, and you can put on a lawnmower. Some of your lawnmower motors will be burned up. There you go, you got that. So, like I said, I'm gonna put this all together, and I mean, basically it's sliding this up, figuring out how many I need, yada yada yada. And from there, we'll go ahead and figure out exactly what we're going to do next. My biggest goal is tomorrow morning, I make a run video of how this thing runs. Because like I said, I've got to change some things on here. And just basically show you it can be done. There's no videos of a lot of people doing these. They just pull them off and tear these apart and da 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 da. And then they get pissed, and next thing you know, you see them at a garage sale. Engine runs but does not pump. Okay, big deal. Okay, I'll buy it from you for 20 bucks. Oh, okay. 70 bucks later, now you got that. All you're into is about 100 bucks and time and labor, and you got you a good pressure washer, as long as you take care of it. And that's the thing. This day and age, everybody just grabs something and off the shelf, takes it, runs the shit out of it, and then turns around and throws it back on their shelf in the garage and forgets about it, and then goes, hey, yeah, I got a pressure washer, I need to go grab it. And then they go use it, and next thing you know, it don't work. Preventative maintenance is the biggest key. Knowing your maintenance, doing your maintenance, stepping out of your comfort zone, not being afraid of the equipment you're working on, but respect it. And it'll last you forever. I mean, that's what all my videos are, is just basically to help you jump out of that comfort zone. But just hang with me. We'll get this done, and then I'll show you the rest. All right. All right, y'all. We're done. At least bolting it in. Okay. I've got the 3 bolts on. Notice I had to take, I don't know if you'll notice, but the bolt's going that way and the other 2 are coming this way. I know they're a little long and everything, but hey, the spacers I made for it work, and we'll worry about the length of the bolt after we're running. I get it running, I'll be happy with it. Might leave it, I don't know. Feel frisky, who knows, who cares. But when you get this kit, it's going to come with a thermal relief valve on the bottom here. This thermal relief valve will be laying in the box. So when you go to put it on, just put it on with pipe tape, and then just get it down snug, not where it's gorilla torqued, but snug, because you really don't want to gorilla torque it, because there's a good chance of cracking the aluminum house. And then it's the same when you go to torque these. Don't really torque them, just get them down tight, snug. And I like to use lock washers, or I mean not lock washers, but lock nuts, and use those, because then it has a good chance if it vibrates, those won't usually back off. But other than that, go ahead and commence to putting everything back together. Now, the one thing I will say is anytime you do get used equipment, doesn't matter if you know somebody or not, come up to your head bolts and just, if you can, find the spec and retorque them. Because after time, these will vibrate loose, and sometimes you'll get a leak or something like that, or you'll lose compression. Your compression will be like, wow, my compression's dying. Well, if you just probably go back and tighten these back up, you'll be okay. But when you do tighten them, make sure that you tighten them crossways, you know, like that, or in a cross pattern, whatever you prefer. Don't tighten from one side to the other, because you can actually warp it. You won't have a uniform lay down and mating. It'll actually kind of warp it. So go back through, do all your little PM that you want to do, commence to putting her together, and lighten her off. Alright, next video will probably be us going ahead and lighten her off tomorrow morning, but I'm going to go ahead and put it back together, get ready to put it in the garage or outside, and we'll see what happens. Hang with us. Bye. Well, you can tell it works. I believe I've got about 3,000 psi punching out of there. Adjusted it just a little bit, but you can see it works. It's a great change up. If you need to upgrade your pump, I recommend it. Like I said, I'll put links and stuff below. I did 0 degree, 15 degree, 25 degree, and 40 degree, and you can see through the pattern what it looked like. So if you're thinking about it, instead of throwing it away, just upgrade the pump. Now, if you can see in the previous little segment, we had it up and running. We ran it through 0, 15, 25, and 40 degree on the nozzle. Didn't try the soap due to the fact I don't have the soap line connected. And that's later on. It's nothing major. But you can tell this old beast ran great. Pump did great. So here's how the process should work. You take the garden hose, put it in here, turn on the water. Let the water push anything out of here. Okay, once you're done seeing enough water stream, go back, turn off the garden hose. Hook up your wand hose all the way, connect it up. Then go back, turn on the water again, and spray every bit of air and anything else in there. What that does is it makes sure, one, there's no crap in there blocking you up. It lets you know you got a solid stream, no air bubbles that'll make the pump kind of get goofy. So now that you've done, you're out there pressure washing, you're having a great time, this is what you need to put in there. Either one. There's another one, I don't have it here, but it's a Briggs & Stratton, and it's in a little aerosol can, and you and squirt it through. These do the same, and they're cheaper. You can get it at Home Depot, Lowe's, doesn't matter. But this is the most important part of what you do to your pressure washers. A lot of people don't do this. So what you do, basically, put her off the side. Oh, still good. Shake it up a little bit. It's got a neat little cap at the top. You screw it in ever so lightly. Now, it is got a glycanol base in there, depending on what the material is. And you get it on there. Take this, take your little catcher's cup, and you just gently squeeze until you start seeing it squirt up through and out here. Basically, that's telling you that your pump has a conditioner in there. So what you do, you grab your stuff. It's got a little weird smell and it's a little alkaline or glycanol kind of substance. So you screw it in there. Okay, you don't have to gorilla tighten it. And then you squeeze the bottle. Keep pressure on the bottle. Make sure that your pressure washer is off, so you don't light off and start running. And basically, we keep pressure on it. And what you're doing is now you're forcing the preservative and cleaner inside the pump. And then your pump should have a residual fluid coming out of it. Sometimes it takes a little bit, but usually about 10 good pumps. And there you go. It's got a little bit in there. Don't go back through the other way. I mean, that's why it's made this way. So basically, in a nutshell, you just do that. Grab Mr. Cup again, put it off the side, unscrew, let residual drain out, if any. Okay, and then what I normally do, keep it right there, take Mr. Cup, get rid of Mr. 4x4 because you're done with him. And then anything that drains out, let it come out. And of course, put your stuff back on. And that's it. Now, what I do recommend is getting little cover pieces for here so that you don't have any chance of buggies or anything. Dirt daubers love these. But that's the other thing. This helps keep dirt daubers and stuff out of there. So you just go ahead and you put that back and you're done. Plain and simple. The biggest thing is like I said, you're going to get little residual drippage out of your filter house. Up here, it's going to get a little bit. But everything else is healthy and strong. Doing as I advertised. Just do your normal little checks. Make sure everything's happy. And we didn't have any leakage. These were loose, by the way. I remember telling you about these. These were loose. Got a new spark. It's got a new air filter and cleaned out the carb and all that, so it's happy, and new fuel line. But the other thing I want to recommend to everybody. This is another thing. Let's say that you're doing your pressure washing. All of a sudden, it feels like it's gone really bad. Well, a lot of problems can be either in your trigger of your wand or the wand itself. You can, I'm not going to show you the video, but inside, if you take the front end off of here and down through here and look down, you're going to see it's corroded, it's rust, it's nasty. If you can get a brush down there, that's great. But after every use, like you preserve that, take some WD-40 and spray it down there and just kind of rotate it and let the WD-40 go down. It's going to get a little messy, but hey, it's going to save your wand because it'll displace that water out of the wand and you're good to go. The hose is pretty much okay. I wouldn't really sweat it. But the trigger assembly on the wand and the wand itself, I would definitely highly recommend doing. And it'll prolong it, because the wand that's actually on this one is shot, and it's because of years of neglect. But like I was telling everybody, step out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to fix what you got. And you can be proud of what you got, because it's back up and running. I mean, you look at this. This was probably $300 brand new. Okay. It's roughly maybe 15 years old. Okay, well, it being 15 years old, people are going to be, it's junk, throw it away. The motor's still good. The only thing that was bad was the pump. And you could overhaul the pump, but if you're really not dealing with pumps that much, I really wouldn't recommend it. Just get you a new one and throw it in there, and you'd be good. I mean, all in all, I spent maybe $100 on this, and I can easily sell it for $250 with no problem, and I don't have to worry about it. But when it comes down to it, guys, don't be afraid. I know that it's a piece of equipment. I know that it scares you, but don't worry about it. Like I say, the least you can do is break it. The best you can do is make it run again. So, anyways, in closing, we turned around and made a 2300 psi into a 2800 psi. We got a healthy engine, got a healthy pump. Went through the preservative protectant scenario of what you need to do for your pumps to make sure that they don't get all nasty. And this is the other thing I was going to tell you. You really want to know how bad your water is? Take a look at the wands, because like I said, mostly everybody never cleans the wands. They just let them just hang them up and let them dry. Well, if you look inside there, you're going to see gunk and mush and whatever else in there. Well, guaranteed that's what's sitting in that pump. So when you put stuff like this in there, what that does is it helps coat it. So when you're operating it, it's not going to let it stick to the seals. It's not going to let the pressure regulator get stuck open or stuck closed. It's actually going to help prolong the life of it. Pull it right back off your shelf and go ahead and go work. Well, you need to do some things. One, of course, preserve the inside of your pump house. Two, your wand. Make sure that your wand is good. Make sure that your nozzle tips are clean. Change your oil regularly. Don't let this stuff sit in here. If you're not going to, if you go ahead and you change the oil and you use it and then you put it up and you let it set for a year, believe it or not, the oil's already gone. And it's going to make problems in there, and boom, the next thing you know, your oil's viscosity is gone and you're going to lose an engine. Next thing, fuel. Don't leave fuel in this. If you're not going to run it for more than, if there's going to be longer than a month, run it out of the fuel or disconnect it, drain the fuel out, put it back, put it in something else, put it in the car, hell, who knows. But don't let this stuff sit with fuel. Because what happens is the fuel turns around, gets that nasty gummy thing, goes inside here, and the next thing you know, your float's all gummed up, the bowl looks like poo, and it won't run. So anyways, I hope these videos have helped so far. If you got any questions or anything, don't feel free to go ahead and post them on the comments below. I'm just doing this is just to help people step out of their comfort zone and not be afraid and not worry. I don't get into technical terms and stuff like that. I kind of try to keep it just as simple, because once you really do get into over technical stuff, it gets nuts. People don't listen to you, and this is just to help anybody I know. All right, y'all have a great and safe day.